Tonight, we're taking action for you after a local first responder says the purchase of her first home is being held up by an HOA.
Imagine spending months searching for your dream home. You find the one that checks all the boxes and you're finally ready to move in. Now, imagine that all of a sudden your plans are blocked. Not by finances, not even by the seller, but by the HOA. This is what happened to Shantashia Stevenson, who found her dream home in the Wexford community in the Tampa, Florida area. It's not necessarily about what transpired, but how it actually transpired. And Shantashia kept receipts from the HOA president that may just shock you. But let's take it back from the beginning because this story gets involved. Before we continue, if you can please click that like button and subscribe to our channel, it would be greatly appreciated. In early 2024, Shantashia came close to making her big purchase. She went under contract, passed the inspection period, but before she could close on the house, the HOA wanted to have an interview with her.
There was one little step they told me before I could close on the house was that I had to have an interview with the HOA.
Seems pretty normal, right? Well, the issue was raised because the previous owner of that house had turned the garage into a room, which is apparently a big no-no in the HOA bylaws.
Previously, the townhome had a violation due to the garage. The garage had been converted into a room.
While this doesn't affect the outside structure, the seller was very compliant and reverted it back to a garage right away.
After that, the seller was made aware of this, so the seller converted the garage back. So they converted the garage back, and then I had the interview.
You might think that the problem was solved with that. Well, any sane person would think the same, but you're wrong. During the interview, perhaps the HOA president was having ego inflation or something, because when Stevenson told him that the garage was fixed, this is what he said next.
The HOA president said that the flooring in the garage needed to be fixed as well. So we fixed that as well. So there was no longer a violation.
And it's unfair because the woman wasn't even aware of the bylaws. The woman wasted no time in converting the garage from this to this. Now that there were no more violations, both Stevenson and the seller provided a copy of the estoppel letter stating that the garage had been converted back to the HOA. Those letters were literally everything the HOA needed as evidence, but it looks like they were not trying to be nice. There were two different letters. The first letter was dated February 2024, which was way before the association interviewed Stevenson. You can literally see the letter saying that there were no open violations, but who knows what the HOA president was talking about. This official letter confirmed that everything was good because what else was left, right? Wrong. Fast forward a few weeks and suddenly, bam! The HOA hit her with a fresh violation for the same garage. Before we continue, if you can please click that like button and subscribe to our channel, it would be greatly appreciated. The other letter was dated in March 2024, which was after Stevenson's interview with the HOA. Despite the bizarre request, Stevenson fixed it. If this wasn't mind-boggling enough, wait till you hear what's coming next. In a conversation with the HOA president, she was told that she shouldn't be dealing with this issue since it's the seller's responsibility, and she is an approved member of their community. The president assured her he was available on Tuesdays for an inspection, but they would also need a realtor. It's a good thing Stevenson came forward with all the receipts. We are talking about full-on screenshots and email revelations. Take a look at the conversation she had with the HOA president. Despite making all the changes the HOA requested, they still blocked her from closing. Emails went back and forth. Delays, excuses, and inspections are apparently rescheduled. It got so messy that even the realtor had enough at one point. As the realtor called the association out on its nonsense, things got heated because the HOA president responded by accusing the realtor of threatening to defame the board. The president then asked them to communicate with the HOA's legal counsel. As the situation escalated to the extent that lawyers had to get involved, Stevenson's life slowed down. While it's a good thing that she had all the emails saved, it didn't save her from months of being pushed around. Almost a month had passed since the discussion started, but despite the letters and email exchanges, nothing had happened. Stevenson, who had broken off her previous lease, thinking she would have closed on the house by now, was left homeless.
From that point forward, I was left in limbo and without a home and a place to stay.
I know this entire situation seems bizarre, but that's nothing in front of what we are about to reveal. Upon speaking to an attorney who specializes in HOA law, it was discovered that an HOA cannot legally block a home sale over a violation. The buyer can assume responsibility, and the sale can still go through. And if an HOA obstructs the sale, it could be held liable.
The buyer of the real estate could assume that obligation and close the transaction, but it's not for the homeowners association to interfere and block the sale. May have a cause of action against the homeowners association for tortiously interfering with that contract.
After all these revelations, many people believe that this was less about the HOA's bylaws and more about their racist mindsets. Believe it or not, HOA loves to act like a Karen in your local supermarket. HOA disputes like this happen a lot. In South Carolina alone, HOA complaints are one of the biggest issues reported to Consumer Affairs, and those complaints are far worse than just the garage flooring. People have literally been fined over flags, gardens, and even tiny libraries. The entire fiasco had a pretty bad impact on Stevenson's mental health. Ultimately, she gave up on the house and started to look for some other place because this one was doing nothing but adding to her stress.
And it appears this situation has in fact impacted the sale. After our interview, Stevenson contacted me to tell me she's now looking elsewhere to buy a home because of the stress this situation has caused her.
If you are looking for a new place, it's best if you don't look for it in an HOA because you have seen it all. But if you do find yourself in a situation like this, here's the cheat code. Always read the HOA bylaws. Even if you are completely innocent, the association could still sue you by twisting its words. So you should always be aware of your rights under the association. The second one is keeping the receipts. Document literally everything. Emails, texts, estoppel letters, even one-word conversations. Make sure to keep a record of everything. If things get crazy, do not hesitate to seek legal help. You can very easily fall victim to HOA's cheap tactics. So please consult a real estate attorney or a lawyer if you find yourself stuck in a situation like this. What happened to Stevenson could happen to anyone. To some, HOAs can be pretty helpful, but when they go rogue, it's literally a nightmare. She had pulled out of the deal at the right time and eventually bought a home somewhere else, but her report motivated so many people to come forward. After the story aired, more than a dozen people who own or previously owned a property in that community contacted AB Action News. This proves how the HOAs are abusing their power. It's crazy how the HOA believes it has a legal right to inspect the inside of someone's home. Have you ever had an issue with your HOA? If so, share your experience in the comments below. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more such stories.